Hi guys, this is Mac with Apollo Scooters, and today we're going to take a look at how to set up your Apollo City. So this video is intended for every person who just received their Apollo City in the mail and you want to know, how do I get started? Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that every single one of the units we shipped out has been quality checked by our engineer. That means we actually open up every single one of the units, we take a look at the brakes, we take a look at the suspension, we look at your battery performance, and we make sure that your scooter is ready to go right out of the box. So this setup video is really just for you to get to know the controls of this scooter and get familiar with it without getting into any of the technicals that we've already taken care of for you. All right, so the first thing you want to do is obviously unfold your brand new scooter. To do so, you want to locate the latch right here on top of the neck of the scooter. And there's a bit of finesse involved with the folding and unfolding of the Apollo City. So you can see right now, if I try to press it, it's a little bit difficult. And that tends to be the case when the scooter is brand new because it hasn't quite worn out yet. It hasn't been broken in. So what we recommend, if you're having a hard time pushing this latch in, is actually giving the neck of the scooter a little bit of a lift and then pressing down. And you can see the pin pops right out. So all I'm doing is I'm just giving the neck a little bit of a lift and then I'm pressing down on the pin, like so. Now, once unfolded, you'll see it will kind of lock in this position. It's very, very, very important with any of the Apollo scooters to give it that extra push. And then what you can see happens is the pin actually locked into place. This is extremely important for your safety. We don't want you to go out and ride without the pin being properly locked into place. So in order to fold down your Apollo City, you can see you want to reverse the process. And you can see the latch is giving me a bit of a hard time. And that's actually great because it means it keeps it nice and secure for you while riding. So a nice little trick to fold down your City is to put your foot right here and then press against the stem with your hand. So you're creating force in opposite directions while pressing down on the latch at the same time. So I'm just going to demonstrate that using my hand and my shoulder here. So I'm pressing in opposite directions and also pushing down on the latch right like so. And you can see it pops right out. Now, from this point, you just reverse the process until it clicks back into place. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is charge your scooter up. The first thing you'll have to do is actually locate the charging port, which in the case of the Apollo City is located in the front right of the base, right here. And you can see it comes with a nice protective cap. You want to pop this cap on to get going and then locate the cable as well as the adapter with the charger that comes in the box. So let's take this out like so, and you can see it comes with the adapter, the port that plugs into the scooter, as well as the cable that goes in the wall. So you can tell that there is a plug that goes right into here, and you're pretty much all set. Your charger is fully assembled. Next, and this is quite important, you want to plug in the AC outlet first so that the wall socket goes in first. And that's simply because we don't want you to see any sparking. It's possible that sometimes when you plug the charger into your scooter, you'll see a couple of sparks come out. Now, plugging it into the wall first and later into your scooter minimizes the likelihood of that. So go ahead, plug this in. Next, what you want to do is you want to align that 3-pin plug with the 3 pins that are available in the charging port right here and give it a gentle push until it locks into place, like so. Okay. You can see it also comes with a nice little ring that allows you to secure the charger in place until it's done charging. What you'll notice is that the charger actually comes with a bit of a light, and in this case, it's green because it hasn't been plugged into the wall. Should it be plugged into the wall and the battery is not full, the light will be red. Once the battery is 100% charged, it's fully charged, the light will turn green. That's how you know when to unplug your scooter. When it's time to do so, you just roll the ring out, remove this cable, and very important, close the cap to keep any of the water that might be outside from coming into the charging port. Another question we get quite often is, how do I go about pumping my tires? So in this case, you can see that the City comes with 2 pneumatic tires, which means that they're air-filled both in the back and the front. And this is actually quite straightforward. All you want to do is just locate the air valve, which in the case of the City is actually right here at the very bottom, you can see right now. And it comes with a nice little protective cap. So when you do want to inflate your tires, you just remove the cap, you get your pump, and you simply attach it. And you pump it up to 50 psi. 50 psi is the recommended air pressure that we put in our tires. And an important note here is that if you overinflate your tires, if you make them harder and higher pressure than they should be, that will actually increase the likelihood of flats. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but make sure you don't go over 50 psi per tire. Next, another question we get quite often is, how do I actually lock my scooter outside? Many of you bought a lock with your scooter because you want to be able to leave it outside of the grocery store, outside of work. And the simple answer is you want to attach your lock to a part of the scooter that's quite sturdy, that's hollow and easy to pass the lock through. And in the case of the city, there are two good spots to do that in. So we're just going to use the Apollo folding lock we have right here as an example. There we go. And the two spots we recommend locking the Apollo City through are the rear suspension and the front suspension fork. So let's give it a go with the front suspension fork just because it's easier. So in the case of the City, as I mentioned, there are two good spots to do that with. There's the rear suspension and the front suspension fork. So we're just going to demonstrate with the front suspension fork. And you'll notice that there's a brake caliper on the right side. The left side is nice and hollow. So that makes it for a very good spot to pass the lock through. So what you want to do is you want to grab your cable or your, in this case, folding lock, and you simply pass it through here like so. And then we're assuming that there's some sort of a bike rack or rail located right next to it that you want to use that you want to use it to secure the scooter to. And you simply go like so, and your scooter is nicely secured in place. Okay, now that we've unfolded the scooter, the next thing you want to do is obviously set up the stem. So you can see everything is folded and protected. So we're just going to go ahead and get this set up, and then we'll go through it part by part and explain how everything works. So the first thing you do is you see that there is actually a little bit of a latch that opens and closes here. And right now, everything is quite loose. That's perfectly normal when it comes out of the factory. We leave it this way so that it does not get damaged during shipping, so that should there be any impact to the package, everything just kind of shuffles and moves around as opposed to, break. But now that you've received the scooter, you obviously want to make sure everything is nice and tight before you go out and ride it. So you can see with this latch right here, there's the latch on one side, there's the screw on the other side, and right now the latch is way too loose. So you just want to tighten this up a little bit, give it a couple of screws, a couple of turns, and when it's the right height, so for me that would be probably this level, you want to close it so it's still a bit loose. Let's give it a couple more turns, like so. Okay, now we're getting some resistance, so it's nice and firm. Perfect. Let's move on to the handlebar itself. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is obviously just remove the foam packaging from the controller and the throttle. Once you do so, you see that the handlebar is actually folded. So you pop it open, you hear the click, that's when the rings pop into place, and you can see the handlebar is already quite sturdy despite some existing wobble. Now, to get rid of the wobble, what you want to do is you want to just use these two rings and turn them in opposite directions. So I'm turning this one away from me, I'm turning it forward, and I'm turning this one toward me, backward. So you keep doing that until you feel a bit of resistance, and when they stop moving, that's when you know you've reached the end and everything is nice, firm, and tight. All right, despite that, we see that the two brake handles are still quite loose, as well as the throttle and display is quite loose. So now let's take a look at how to tighten these. Okay, so as I mentioned, the next step is to actually take care of these loose handles as well as the loose throttle. So let's take a look at how to tighten this guy first. And to do so, you will need the tool set that comes in the box. So feel free to go ahead and remove it from the little bag, and let's put it to use. Okay, so I will be using the third smallest Allen key. And what you want to do is you essentially want to locate the bottom two screws. You can see the top two are actually quite tight. It's just the bottom two that are allowing this wiggle to happen. And all you got to do is just tighten them a little bit, like so. Okay, there's one. Okay, and there's the other one. So you can see your throttle is firmly fixed in place. One worthwhile consideration before we get started is actually to keep enough distance between this ring right here and the throttle right here, because what you see happens when you try and fold it is that this ring actually pops out. So you have to slide it out. So when it's fully out, you can see that the space between the throttle and the ring is actually quite small already. So should you move it any further to the left, it's just going to block the ring from popping out. So keep that in mind when you kind of pick which place to attach it to. All right, so now we still have the two brakes left to do. And an important piece of advice is to actually not put the brake too close to the throttle, because what you see happens is when you place your hand right here, you want to have enough room to press the throttle all the way without getting stuck on the brake, and vice versa. You don't want to accidentally press the throttle when braking. So we recommend putting the throttle a little bit further up and then having the brakes a bit further down. So now let's actually tighten the brakes. So what you want to do is you want to locate the screw that you want to tighten right here. It's at the base of the brake handle, and then use the second biggest Allen key to give it a nice turn, like so. Okay, so we'll just make sure this is nice and angled, and then you keep turning until you feel some resistance and your brake is firmly attached in place, and then you repeat the same process with the guy on the left. All right, so we're just tightening it up too. There we go. And a nice little comment is that a lot of our customers go for extra lights or additional phone holders. And so the same principle as we discussed with this section right here. You don't want to place it too close to the ring to prevent it from getting stuck when falling down your scooter. So just make sure you kind of unscrew it first and you see how far it comes out to. So in this case, you can see, it goes out to here. So that's probably a good spot to start putting your phone holder and whatnot, just to prevent it from getting stuck. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how to actually power on your scooter and what are some of the settings you have room to play with within the LCD display. So to power it on, you press and hold the on button, like so, and you can see the LED screen comes on. There are a couple of important pieces of information that the display shares with you, those being the gears. So you have 3 gears available. We're currently in gear 1, and that's indicated here at the very top of the screen. Below, you have the speed you're currently traveling at. So since we're not moving, we're currently at 0 kilometers per hour. Below, you have the odometer, which is essentially the total distance traveled in the history and the lifespan of this scooter. So because it's brand new, we're currently at 0, and below you have your charge level, and we're currently at full charge. So let's get started with some of the mode settings. So as I mentioned, we have the gears at the top, and all gears do is really limit your top speed. So in gear 1, you'll be limited at a top speed of 25 kilometers per hour. In gear 2, you will go up to 35 kilometers per hour. And gear 3 will take you all the way up to the top speed of about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour. In order to change the gears, you need to press the mode button. So you press it once, we go up to gear 2, you press it again, and it goes up to gear 3. And then when you press it once more, it goes back to 1. So it'll always cycle through 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1. Now, in order to use some of the other settings, we want to press and quickly drop the on and off button. So you can see we switched from the odometer to trip. And again, the difference is that the odometer measures the total distance traveled in the lifespan of the scooter, whereas the trip measures the total distance traveled on a single trip. So once you power it off and power it back on, you'll see that the trip count resets back to 0. We press it again, and we can see this is our voltage display. You can see how many volts are remaining in the battery, what's the voltage remaining, and that of course corresponds to the charge level that you can see right here. All right, then we press it once again and we're back to the odometer. So we're just cycling through the same settings again. The last thing I'm going to mention is the lights. So how do you turn on and turn off your lights? All you want to do is press and hold the mode button, and you can see a little light icon pops up right here, which means your lights are on. To switch them off, you press and hold mode again until they come off. And then finally, to power off your scooter, all you got to do is press and hold power, like so. All right, thanks very much for watching, guys. This was our setup guide with your Apollo City. If you have any additional questions, you can always find more information in your instruction manual booklet, which is also included in your box. There's additional contact information there in case you want to get in touch with us for further questions. As I previously mentioned, we do inspect every single unit that we ship out, so do not be concerned with any of the technicalities of tightening your brakes and adjusting your suspension. We already took care of that. But if you do have additional questions about those types of tasks, feel free to contact us via the information provided in the booklet, on our website, or in the comments here below. Thanks very much for watching, and enjoy your scoot.